You are listening to Making Sense with Alison Blackler. Welcome to Making Sense here on Wirral Wave Radio. This is episode 30 and myself and George are here in the studio at Wirral Wave Radio in the heart of Birkenhead, and we hope that you are still enjoying this show. We love putting it together for you, bringing you different guests, different topics, little bite-sized things, so hopefully everyone can take some small things away and put them into practice. We love and are grateful to many of our guests who come on and share their wisdom, their experience, and hopefully bringing those to you. Now, in this episode, we're going to be focused on the relationship we have with money. And our very special guest is Philly Ponniah, who is a money coach. And later in the show, she has some great tips to share with us in her experience as a money coach. We've also got some great tunes, and we've chosen probably some cheesy tunes because they're all about money. So hopefully you can see the fun side in that. So whether you've noticed it or not, you've already built a relationship with money. The relationship with money is often influenced by our choices, by our habits, by our childhoods, by the way that we were brought up. So it's really important for us to just pause, as it is with many things, and actually look at what is actually happening. Because we can have a really healthy relationship with money, which will positively impact on you and on your choices in life. But you can also have an unhealthy one. So I think it's really important for us, as I say, to pause and think about that. Because having a healthy relationship with your money means that you will understand how money works. It means that you're using your money to help you maintain good health, good choices. It often means that you live your life with less stress and investing in things that will support you in the long term. So many things. And I think it is quite common for people to have quite a negative relationship with money. And Philly is going to share some of her ideas and thoughts and wisdom in our interview. So before we play that, let's start with our first tune. So we're going to kick off with Money's Too Tight to Mention by Simply Red. And this tune was released in 1985, so one from my younger years. Anyway, I hope you enjoy a little bit of Simply Red.
I've been laid out from work, my
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that tune. Okay, so let's get cracking with our interview because, as I say, Philly has got lots of experience to share with you. So let's hear her interview with me, all around money, all around the challenges that she often hears her clients say. So here's my interview with Philly. Hope you find it useful. Okay, so I am delighted to say that I have a very special guest on Making Sense today, and we have Philly Ponniah, who is a financial coach. Welcome to Making Sense.
Thanks so much for having me, Alison. Great to be here.
Yeah, good. Well, Philly and I met recently at an event, and even though you're focused on money and kind of finances and things, I'm obviously very interested in how people get through life, I suppose, really. And money has such a big part in that, doesn't it? And for me, the relationship that we have with money, but also the impact that money can have on relationships. And I thought it would be a good topic for us to cover on this show. And who better to have in is somebody who focuses on all of those things.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Brilliant. So tell everyone a little bit more about you and your background and who you are.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm a financial coach with a background in investing. So I've been in the wealth management industry for 12 years, and I predominantly help women with their finances. Lately, I've had quite a few couples come to me too, though. So, I'm serving quite a lot of people on all sorts of issues. I think money is such a taboo topic. It's still not really talked about. A lot of the industry is not designed to be easy to understand. And so I like being a bit of a translator and also help people get to the bottom of what might be sort of holding them back.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think that's the thing when products, if you like, are being sold to somebody, it is having that understanding of what that actually means. And I know for some people, it does really stress them out.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can hear the same words coming out, stressed, anxious. Some people, really do worry about it. And again, it's that point about not talking about it, not bringing it up. Then it sort of festers, and then, you might become secretive about certain things, or just, worry. And then, the impact that then has on your life is quite negative.
I think the something that I see quite a lot of is how each, especially if it is a relationship, but not necessarily, maybe in a family, how people have a different view of money. Some people in a couple somebody might be a big spender and the other one's a real big saver, and that in itself can create a problem.
Absolutely. And there's some research done that our relationship with money tends to be formed in our sort of heads before the age of 7. So actually, as an adult, you're coming, into a relationship with all that your experiences, all the things you've heard growing up. And actually, maybe one of you wants to stay really safe and, build up your money, not spend it. And the other one maybe never had money growing up, so now they're earning, is really happy to spend it because, we react in different ways. And some people want to repeat or go away from how they've grown up. But in a couple, it's really about communicating what you actually want to achieve together. Otherwise, I think there'll be friction.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the key with most things, isn't it? Is to sit down and have those conversations rather than avoid them, because they do build up. But I mean, I would be saying that for everything. If something isn't working for you in any relationship or family member, it is so damaging to just stick with the getting it going round and round and round in your own head and not actually feeling, because it builds up resentment, it builds up stress, more stress. So I think, I'm always a big fan of how do you create the space to have these difficult conversations? Or if it's a new relationship, how can you have that conversation, particularly around money, early on?
Well, I don't remember this, but on my first date with my now husband, I apparently told him what I earned. And I think psychologically, I must have been thinking, I've got to put myself out there as someone who, self-sufficient, earning, and doesn't need, to be in this relationship. So that, but it's, I don't know. I don't remember doing that, but he does bring it up every so often.
Does he? Brilliant. I love that. But I think that in itself, let's touch on that, because that is a topic that people do talk about, is, who is earning the most? Is it the male, and if it is the male, what's the impact on the female? And then if it's the other way around, which obviously in this day and age, it can often be the other way around, what's the impact on that? What kind of things do you hear people say?
Well, unfortunately, the statistics are quite bad when the woman is the breadwinner. I think it can cause, maybe unsaid resentment. Not always, but I think there can be maybe what's the word? I don't know, a sort of a feeling of imbalance, and it might be a threat to the, traditionally it would have been the man in the relationship earning more. So I think, and typically when you find the sort of mental load of the household still falling on the woman, obviously a traditional relationship, then that can, I think, cause more issues.
Definitely. And I think there is, I'm always saying to people, even though women, we're very different today, we've, broken all of the glass ceilings, we've we're there in some ways, and yet we're so not as well. And I'm often talking about, when we're understanding relationships, that the coding that comes from back in the day, from, almost caveman days, where women were in a very different position, that is still within us. But I think particularly within men, that they still have that very kind of hunter-gatherer approach to things. And when that is different, because we're in a different space, it creates, it does create problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think something else that I think is important for us to understand is the imbalance around, or the fear around, how much money ties people into situations, whether that be a relationship or just a job, or, that fear. I guess you must hear people talk about that they feel trapped because of their finances, and they can't make the decisions they want to make.
Well, it's interesting because actually sometimes people don't stop to work out what they really need. And, is it true that you have to stay in your job? Is it true that you have to work 5 days a week? And I was working with someone recently who's now gone to a 4-day week, and it's, not made an impact really in a monetary way, but actually the amount of freedom, rather than waiting till she retires to start doing the things she enjoys, actually she's now got 1 day a week to herself to do the things now. So I think, similarly, I was talking to a photographer, and I didn't realize it takes a whole day to edit from a shoot. So actually what she's charging for 1 day ends up being 2 days worth of work. So little questions like, what would it be to outsource that editing? It was a fraction of the cost of the day's shoot. So, it's just about finding different ways to, look at the situation and what is true, question what is true, what do you need, what's practical, and quite often it isn't what you think or assume.
And I think, and for me, that's because you are looking at it through the fear lens. So, you're seeing, I can't leave that job. I can't set up my own business. I can't leave that relationship, because you're looking at it through. And I think what you're saying is, if you actually sit down, and I guess you can talk a bit about how you would help somebody, because I'm guessing that that's what you would do. You would actually sit down and get some truth about, okay, what does that look like? How do you want that to be? I guess that's where you come in to help them.
Definitely. And quite a lot of the time, it's not actually about the money. A lot of what I do with people is not about the money. So we'll need the practical element of looking, what do you need? What do you currently spend? What would you like to spend? What would you like to do with your time? And I think an exercise that is really important early on when I'm working with people is looking at what you value. What are the things that when you're kind of on your deathbed, will you be remembering? What are the things that really matter to you? And so that's a really good exercise that, you can do on your own. Get a blank piece of paper, maybe set aside 15 minutes, half an hour, and really visualize what you want and what's important to you, because it might surprise you, and you might see that how you're spending your time, so not just your money, might be taking on a completely different course and actually isn't where you want to be.
I love that. And actually, it's really made me think about time. You mentioned there about, how do you value your time and what time do you want? Because I think so often money gets tied up with people's time. And like you say, what is the most valuable? I don't know, the pandemic has changed some people's views on time, hasn't it? Yeah. And people have taken that plunge of reducing a day or making a big change in maybe in their work situation. I think just pausing and thinking about, what is it, money that I'm focused on, or is it actually quality time? And how do I then balance it out so that I can have what I want and have the life I want?
Absolutely, because you are the one who really is the architect, of your life. And if you think of things being done to you, or that, you're just part of the cogs of something, you can have the power to stop and look at it. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, because once you're trapped in that fear and feeling trapped and that you don't have any options, it's going to spiral, and then it'll probably be another year, another 5 years, and things haven't changed.
Online and mobile. Alexa, play Wirral Wave. Wirral Wave.
So let's have another tune, and this time we've chosen Hall & Oates, Rich Girl. I hope you enjoy it.
You're a rich girl and you're gone too far, 'cause you know it don't matter anyway. You can rely on the old man's money. You can rely on the old man's money. It's a rich girl, but it's gone too far, 'cause you know it don't matter anyway. Say money, money won't get you too far, get you too far.
Welcome back. So we're going to finish off the interview with Philly now. So hope you enjoy the rest of it. What kind of things would, if somebody was listening to this and they, knew that they had questions or fear, all the things that we've talked about, maybe they feel trapped in a job or a relationship, what kind of things would you kind of summarize that you could help them with, and what would it be different working with someone like you?
Well, I typically look at, how someone's living, what they want to achieve. And then quite often an important thing is remembering to sort of look for evidence of things where things are working or something is not working. And I think rather than, as I was saying before, with that lens of fear and actually not stopping to look and evaluate, I think it's really about guiding someone through and asking them, where I come in and I think I help people, it's not often about the money. I know I've said that before, but it'll be more asking the right sort of questions to get them onto the path that they really want to be on. Money is a tool that, pays for things, enables us to know we're going to retire with enough money. But again, it's not the sort of most important thing. Money is often not the goal. It's the money gets you the freedom, the time, whatever you want as your thing, car.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's I kind of give people the space and the guidance to reflect and then think about where they want to get to.
I like that. And I think just moving it solely away from the money, back in the day, people used to go and have meetings with their bank managers, and I think that that would have given me dread, because obviously that side of it isn't how, I like the way that we're thinking about this, and the way you think about this is that it's sort of the gateway to whatever you want it to be, and how do you plan so that you can have that life, if you like, that you want.
Absolutely. And once we take away the sort of power of the money, and think about sort of what it enables us to do, I think that's when you get real satisfaction, because it's not really to do with the money is the enabler, but it's not the sort of be all and end all.
Yeah, because there is fear, isn't there, around money sometimes. I mean, there are people out there who, when the brown envelopes come, they don't open them because they don't want to know what's in them. And then the thought of that building up is eating away at them, and yet they're not able to, whatever it is, be brave to look. And what kind of mess then do people get into?
Well, so a few of the people I've worked with in debt, the first step is really facing up to the reality, and that can be a big step, but it'll only get worse if you don't face it head on. So those sorts of things will often come because something has happened in the past that was unpleasant to do with money, and you basically still want to avoid it. So I would probably in that case uncover what feelings are coming up and deal with that first, and then think more practically about, well, actually, when do you want to be debt free? Some people in debt never even think about when they're going to be debt free, because it's just something that they pay the interest every month. And with interest rates as they are, higher than they have been in a long time, I think we're going to see a problem in the country with just people realizing what the debt they're in, that it's going to cost a lot more to have.
So I think the message always has to be there, is as hard as it is, you've got to open those envelopes and find out what your truth is. I mean, I've seen people who, they've had a prescription that they didn't pay for, and then they ignore it, and this thing that was £7 is now £107, and it's terrifying in a way. But what I'm always kind of conscious of is, even though you think you're ignoring it, from a brain perspective, you won't be. It'll be eat, nig. It'll be literally eating away at you, and it then creates other fear, doesn't it, and other problems.
Yeah, my mum worked for the Citizens Advice Bureau. She volunteered there for years, and that's one of my main memories as a child, is her coming home and telling us about people who had taken out loans, credit cards, and not understood what the APR, the sort of rate, meant. So that's definitely impacted me as an adult, not wanting to have any debt, not wanting to borrow, never going into my overdraft, because it's interesting the things you hear. I'm living proof that when you're growing up, that just because it's things like store credit cards, when you go into somewhere like Next, so many people do it, and they offer you a little, you'll get a tiny bit off today, and actually that ends up being a lot in the future. So it costs them nothing to give you the 2p off that day, exactly. £20 off. But it's just, I think those sorts of things need a lot more regulation, because it impacts the people who are neediest. basically.
Yeah, it's almost dangerous, isn't it? Because then your bill comes and it says you've got this much to spend, and you haven't got that much to spend at all on the top of your invoice.
Oh, I know. It's appalling. It really is.
Really is dangerous, isn't it? I think one of the things that we've talked about at the beginning, which is all running parallel with all of what we talked about, is how money was presented to us, or how hard work was presented to us when we were young. You know, what was your kind of messages that you were hearing about working hard? And I wonder whether, you know, again, we don't know the answer to this, but, you know, as the generations change, you know, how we'll see hard work. You know, for those people who had a paper round and got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and did, you know, they'll have an ethic or a work pattern around working super hard quite often. But I'm always
sometimes sometimes it doesn't serve people to have heard that growing up. You know, money doesn't grow on trees. If you ask, you don't get. You've got to work really hard, because actually then you see people, you know, not ever taking a break and, you know, giving them any self-care, self-compassion. It's sort of you know, they keep going on the roller coaster, you know, treadmill. So that's one end of the spectrum that's probably not helping people. It's interesting though, because you might still hear that. And I deal with some people now who are earning a lot more money than their family have ever earned. And they're wondering how can they actually talk to their children about money, because, you know, one person had heard their daughter just say, "Oh, my watch is broken. Can you just get me a new one on Amazon?" And, you know, the thought of that is, you know, we'd have waited for Christmas, you know, that would be one of the things you could ask for. And the arrival of things in the post from Amazon or wherever online is so prevalent now that actually, you know, our children don't really see money very often, because it's all on cards, and it's going to be, you know, totally different. So going back to the sort of hard work and seeing how you can now earn money, you know, think of the YouTubers, people make money on TikTok, all these things where, those people are sort of still in the minority. You know, there are still a lot of people doing their jobs with, you know, hourly rates and people earning. So I think it's not going to be a complete shift, but I do think, you know, it's how you talk to your children will probably impact them more than you think.
Definitely. And that would be the same for anything, because children are modeling and picking up. And I think you said they will either fall into that type, or some people make the complete opposite around what they heard, and they go off down in a different path. And I think for me, it's just checking that whatever it is that you are, your thoughts, your behaviors are, is that they are not, you know, almost disabling yourself in your future, you know, whether that is around money or just, like you say, not pausing, not taking breaks. I see that a lot.
I bet you do. Yeah,
definitely. So tell everyone where they can find you if they would like to look at you on socials and things.
Oh, thank you. So I'm at Philly Financial on Instagram, and my website is phillyfinancial.co.uk.
Brilliant. And we will put those in the tag when we put it out on socials. So have you got a last little tip before we finish, Philly?
Well, I would always say, talk to people about money. It should not be taboo. If you can communicate, be open, be honest, I think you'll be surprised at actually how reassured you'll feel, how it'll improve your relationships, friends, family. I think, communicate is a good one.
And I think the other thing about that, which again I'm always saying, is when you talk, it just reminds you that you're not on your own. Because when we're on our own with our thoughts, the way that we're wired, we end up getting all mixed up, we catastrophize, we make it all 10 times harder than it actually is. And actually just saying, gosh, I'm stuck with this, or how can I help? And this, you know, I'm sure your socials and things have got lots of tips, lots of things that you can pick up on. You know, there's lots of ways of getting little tips to realize that you're not on your own, and that there is a way that you can make this better.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Making Sense with Alison Blackler.
Welcome back. Hope you found that interesting. And if you do like what Philly's got to say, do follow her on something like Instagram, because she does share every day really, really high quality tips and things that you can think about, because it is so important for you to pause and think about what's your relationship with money. It's also, as Philly said, really important to talk about money, to understand some of the things and some of the places that our patterns and habits come from, and then obviously to find solutions and options for you. So let's not have money as a taboo subject. And as it is the case for everything that we talk about on this show and everything through my business, for me, sharing our experiences and knowledge, it is important for us to feel connected and not alone. So remember, if some of this resonates with you, you're not alone. There are many people who will experience something similar. Okay, let's pause now and have another tune. And this time we're going to go for something from Dire Straits. I don't think we've played anything from them in this show before. And we've chosen Money for Nothing. So again, sticking to our theme. I hope you enjoy it.
That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. What's that? For nothing and your chicks for free. Look at that, look at that.
Okay, so let's think about just adding really to what Philly has been, what we've talked about with Philly, and think about what an unhealthy relationship with money often looks like. And as we've said, can often lead to quite a stressful life because of poor money choices. So I've got a few bits for us to keep an eye on if you're trying to identify whether you have or haven't got a healthy relationship with money. So some unhealthy characteristics are impulse buying, maxing out credit cards, avoiding managing your finances. And I do see this quite a lot where people are not really not dealing with things, and that in itself creates more and more stress. Refusing to talk about money or seek financial support is another classic. Disliking or displaying anger towards financial secure people, or being afraid to spend money even on necessities. So there's almost two ends of the spectrum there. One, impulse buying, and then one being afraid to spend anything, and even on necessities. So again, those are little ideas that can help us identify whether we've got an unhealthy relationship with money. So then on the flip side of that, let's look at healthy relationships with money. And this could include having some sort of a plan, whether that's a spending plan or a budget plan for yourself. Again, some people need to write these things down so they can see them. Feeling good about the money that you earn, I think, is really important. And being able to believe that you deserve the money that you've earned is also really important. It helps you identify your own value to yourself. Having strong saving plans or maybe an emergency fund, again, is probably something that is a healthy approach to managing money. Obviously, we would all love to live debt-free, but it's about how you actively pay off your debt or how you manage it. And again, Philly's the expert there, but it's important for us to just pay attention to it. And as I say it all out loud so that there isn't that taboo. And then the other end of the scale, again, being able to make purchases without feeling guilty, being able to treat yourself and give yourself that sort of approach to being deserving and feeling like you can is so important. And again, from my perspective, from a mind perspective, it's so important for people to feel that they can treat themselves and spend their money on themselves so that they feel good. And again, you get a little buzz in your brain that helps you feel good about that. So again, it's really important for you to just pause now and think about what is your relationship with money or spending. And it's important to take time to think about this, because sometimes thinking you can just change a habit or change a pattern really quickly is also a false way of seeing it. So there isn't any shortcuts to unlearning these false beliefs that you might have around money, and taking time to create better habits is what is important. But we need to start somewhere. And as I'm always saying on this show, taking little steps. What's the one small thing that you could do to help yourself with your money? It might be talking to somebody else. It might be just writing some things down. Some people, again, just hate talking about money. And I think for me personally, because I have numbers are not my favourite thing, sometimes that can translate into finances. So again, if you're out there and you're somebody who doesn't really like numbers, get some help. Find little strategies and little ways that can help you take charge of yourself. So it's important, as we were saying, to take an honest look at your relationship with money. And the only thing that you need to start with that is to not judge yourself. So no judgment. If you're not very good with money, if money has always been a bit of an issue for you, whether it's the spending or the saving, let's not start with judgment. Let's give ourselves a bit of a break, because no matter where you are right now with your relationship, it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a good person either if you've got it all going. It's just about your relationship with money. So if you're going to ask yourself some questions around that relationship, you could think, what are your thoughts about money? Are they positive or negative? Again, some of this comes from the way that money was displayed as a child. Sometimes it's about whether your parents are good savers, good spenders, etc. So is it positive or negative? And then also, how have you made progress with money over the years? So that could be a little assessment that you could do for yourself. But do remember that many of the issues or situations that you find yourself in with money can come from the way that you were parented. So if you were raised where money plays a big part, your parents may have taught you to look after money well, or they may have taught you to spend money well. If your parents were extra frugal and only spent money on necessities, then you may have the same relationship or the complete opposite. And the opposite would be overspending because you didn't have those luxuries as children. But remember, the most important thing is no judgment, because it is what it is. So it's time to leave the past in the past and then focus on the future, on whatever you want your relationship to money to be. Do you want your relationship to be fun, yet responsible? For example, you can spend money on things you enjoy, but also build in savings. So again, it feels almost quite simple, which a lot of the things that we talk about on this show are, but we do need to pause and think about it rather than ignore it. Okay, let's have another tune. And how about a bit of ABBA? Guess what? We're going for some cheesy again. We're going to have Money, Money, Money by ABBA. So I hope you enjoy this.
Still there never seems to be a single penny left for me. That's too bad. In my dreams I have a plan. If I got me a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work at all. I'd fool around and have a ball. Money, money, money. To be free, I bet he wouldn't fancy me. That's too bad. So I must leave. I'll have to go to Las Vegas or Monaco and win a fortune in a game. My life will never be the same. Money, money, money must be funny in the rich man's world. Money, 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 always sunny in the rich man's world. All the things I could do if I had a little money. It's a rich man's world. Money, money, money must be funny in the rich man's world. Money, 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 always sunny in the rich man's world. All the things I could do if I had a little money. It's a rich man's world. It's a rich man's world.
Welcome back. Who doesn't like a bit of ABBA? Absolutely brilliant. So let's keep thinking about our relationship with money and how you can help yourself. When you identify this relationship, try and focus on what this relationship will look like in your life. How will your life feel? What will you be thinking instead of what you were thinking if you want it to be different? How will your new relationship feel? So it's important for you to maybe establish some goals, literally around the relationship that you want to have. So it's time to maybe think about that in itself. So think about some goals. Think about things like this. Do you want to increase your savings? Do you want to feel more confident in making more money? Do you want to pay off your debts? Do you have an intention or outcome that will help you stay focused on your new relationship? It will help you change habits and create new routines that will help you fulfill this new goal. But something that's really important for this, just as it is for anything else, remember to give yourself a break, not be so hard on yourself, and to praise. It's really important that if you have had quite a challenging relationship with money for many years, remember it's okay if we don't change it overnight. But the next thing that's really important is to give yourself a break and try these new techniques around giving yourself some grace. So how we do that, some of it is, as I've often talked about, giving yourself a bit of a high five, noticing that you've done something well, but also being able to forgive yourself for any past mistakes. So even the wealthiest people have made mistakes with money, so you're not alone. Instead of dwelling on the mistakes, forgive yourself and allow yourself to learn from the unfortunate situation. Keep trying until you get it right. No matter if you're budgeting for the first time or trying to speak positively about money, you may not get everything right on the first attempt. When you fall back into old habits, take note and ask yourself how you're going to do better next time. So that kind of finishes, I think, what I've got to offer around money. I'm not particularly the expert at money, but what I am interested in is looking at the relationship that we have, and then for you to seek the right kind of help depending on what your situation is. And someone like Philly, someone who is an expert in finances and the products that are available, is something for you to think about. But there is a lot of guidance and advice out there. Make sure that you do look things up that are credible. So remember, if you have enjoyed this show or you would like to look at any of the other topics that we've covered, they are all available on our YouTube channel, to Alison Two Minds. You can subscribe so that you can get any of the episodes listen to them on repeat, I should say. Okay, so just before we have another tune, I just wanted to give the journal a little plug again, because we've got this lovely journal that is a place for you to pause, think about what your intentions are, and think about what's been going well. The journal has been out now since December, and we've had some great reviews, some great comments on it, but also a few people have kind of felt a bit stuck. So I just want to share a few ideas around how to unstuck yourself, because what we don't want it to be is your to-do list. And what we also don't want it to be is a place where you feel like you're writing the same thing every day. And that's some of the feedback that we've had. People have got stuck. And I think one of the reasons they've got stuck is they've been a little bit task focused. So they might have written something that they want to do, go for a walk, drink more water. And actually one of the things that I think is most powerful with this is to think about, how do you want to feel? How do you want something to go? How do you want to feel motivated? Really think about some of the sort of what I call the glue around the activities that you're doing each day. It's really important that we don't make filling the journal in another job and stressful and something that you then beat yourself up if you don't do it. So I think it's about really coming out of the task focused and really thinking about what it is that you'd like to feel, what's important to you, and then filling that in. You don't have to have all of the boxes filled in all of the time either. Although for me, if you can, it shows that you're really trying to think about this. And remember, something like journaling, something like filling in our journal is like a jigsaw. And each piece, each tiny little bit that you're filling in is another piece of the jigsaw. And how do we tackle jigsaws? We do them one piece at a time. So if you haven't picked one up and you fancy getting into journaling and you want some structure, because you can just get a book and just write how you feel, what your intentions are, and some people can do that. But a lot of people say they don't know where to start and they quickly drop off, which is why we've created this journal, which is available on Amazon. It's 3 months worth, and I can guarantee if you filled it in every day for 3 months, you would start to turn round your thinking, turn round some of your behaviours. If anyone has any questions about it, please do contact us on our socials and we will help you with whatever it is that you're stuck on. Okay, so remember that this show is recorded, so we can take questions and topics which we can cover. You can email the show anytime on makingsense@wirralwave.co.uk, or as you've said, you can contact us on our socials. We love hearing from you. We always want to make this show a useful place for you to pick up little bits and tips. And we love it when you pick tunes for us. We are always open to suggestions and we can give you a shout out. But remember, it needs to be good vibes and a good lyric. So in our next show, we will be focusing on purpose. And my special guest will be Justin McSweeney from the US. Should be a great episode, and Justin has lots of things based on his own research, actually. He did a lot of work ready for this interview. So hopefully that will be something that of use to you as well. Remember, always follow us on our socials. Wirral Wave also has its own socials. You can follow up there with local news. Thank you so much to all of my guests who've been on this show, but specifically to Philly, who has given us her wisdom in this episode. Thank you to George for producing the show, and thank you to Wirral Wave for the opportunity. But most importantly, thank you to you for listening in. Please do tell your friends about Wirral Wave Radio, your community radio, and check out all other shows during the week. There is a jam-packed schedule and something for everyone. So we will leave you with a great tune to finish the show. And this tune has been chosen by Danny, who is my boyfriend. And he has chosen Dirty Cash by Stevie V. So myself and George will be back with a new episode in 2 weeks. In the meantime, be kind to yourself. Bye for now.
Just want you to use me.
can't reject it. You're the junkie, and I inject it into your bloodstream. It's like a bad dream. Money's the